Spider-Man, Spider-Man, I just did my own cover, yeah. 'Cause you two blows, you suck big dick, you fucking copyright everything, oh yeah. Try stealing this away.
It only took me 3.5 days to get the Platinum Trophy in Marvel Spider-Man, but I have to say, it was well worth my hard-earned cash. Insomniac Games went above and beyond my expectations on pretty much every aspect of game development, and this is, in my opinion, their best game to date. At around 20 to 25 hours, Spider-Man is fairly short for an open-world game, and only covering the Manhattan part of New York City, but this is by far one of the best examples of quality over content. And I love it when open world games are made so well, with maybe only one or two glitches you might find throughout. Last year's Horizon Zero Dawn was also a very notable example of how to properly create an open world game. Even the collectibles in this game are done very well and give a lot of different variety to the gameplay, something that most open world sandboxes fail to achieve now. This is one of the very few open world experiences where completing all these collectibles and activities weren't such a tedious chore. I was never bored doing anything, and maybe that's partly due to how fantastic the gameplay was, between swinging across rooftops rapidly and engaging in a combat system very heavily inspired by the Batman Arkham series. I don't really feel the need to go into much detail about how deep the combat is, as it's basically just the same as Batman Arkham. There is a focus bar that you can use to either do takedowns or replenish some of your health when it fills up. You also have certain gadgets that are implemented very well with both combat and stealth mechanics, like the web shooter and trip mines among others. And like pretty much all open world action games and RPGs, you also level up and unlock various combat and fight skills. You also unlock different suits, special suit abilities, and gadget upgrades by completing set activities such as street crimes, enemy bases, and challenge medals. The gameplay is as equally phenomenal as its story. I won't spoil anything. I don't usually talk about story in my reviews anyway, so I especially won't go into any plot details regarding the story. I will state that this game's storyline is completely separate from all other pieces of Spider-Man, whether we're talking comic books, movies, or other video games. And it's completely its own original tale, which you probably have already known. This also takes place a few years later on when Peter Parker is in what I presume is his early to mid-20s. There are certain missions where you get to control two other characters, Mary Jane Watson, Peter's love interest, and Miles Morales. Most of these missions are self-contained stealth segments that are pretty similar to the stealth segments you would find in The Last of Us. Overall, I found the presentation with the story and the relationship between the characters to be very faithful to the Marvel universe despite having a separate continuity, which I thought was actually a great idea since you don't need to have seen, played, or read any other material in order to follow what's going on in the game. They did an amazing job making everyone who they really are, especially Peter Parker. As well as the supervillains, I thought they did an especially wonderful job with Dr. Octopus and Mr. Negative. I never thought the story slowed down. The pacing was absolutely perfect. Despite one occasion where an objective glitched out during a crime scene for me, and a total of 3 times that the game crashed, I wasn't let down in the slightest. I'm going to conclude this review by saying that if you love open world games, especially open world action games, Spider-Man, easy trophies, or all of the above like me, I encourage you to buy this game. It's the most fun I've had with a sandbox game in years. Spider-Man earns a very high, and I mean very high, 9 out of 10, almost a 10. If they can patch whatever has caused those crashes along with any annoying bugs they find, then this review is updated to a perfect 10. That's right. It's probably my favorite superhero game of all time. Combat-wise, Arkham City might still be better. Everything else, though, I don't know, man. It certainly is up to debate. But thank you very much for watching.
The Gamer Gods!
Do you remember why we broke up?
This is a trick question, isn't it?
Saved by the siren.
Talk to you later.
Go.
Love seeing you two together again. You always were my favorites.